Well, good morning everybody, and it's nice to talk to you all. I want to show you some things that you can make in this class, and I'll show you sort of a close-up still of each item. And of course there's thousands of things that you can make in here, but a lot of you are very unfamiliar. If you hear a bird in the background, that's my parrot upstairs, and he makes a lot of noise. He screams a lot during the day. So you may hear his chirping as he screams out during the day, but don't let that affect you. Try to pay attention to me. I'm, first of all, very glad that you took my class, and you're going to make jewelry at a very professional level. So I think you're going to be amazed. I think you're going to make commercial jewelry, and I think your mother and father will not believe what you make in my class. You'll bring it home and they'll look at it and they'll say, you bought this in a store, you didn't make it. But you're in the only class like this in Thailand, the only elective that's like this. And since I can only take at a full class about 11 kids, I can stretch it to 12 and use a desk that I presently don't use, but I'm not going to do that. So with all the birds chirping behind me, and I know you're picking this up, I think that you're going to be quite amazed with what is possible. And you're going to actually learn trade level jewelry the same way a goldsmith or a silversmith works in Thailand and around the world. I want you to know that this craft is 2,000 years old, and this is real jewelry. Now, in some international schools, they have maybe a jewelry experience, but it's with super glue and fake pearls and stuff like that, and it's really cheesy stuff. It's not the real thing. So I know that you're going to enjoy this because it's on such a high level, and you're actually learning a trade, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So what I'm going to do is show you a bunch of things that you can make and put them on the screen and describe them to you. And the first ring is a double ring. In other words, you make a ring out of silver and then maybe texture it somehow, and that's the treatment that you would use. And then you're going to add maybe a piece of what we call non-ferrous metal, like copper or brass. Now, while those metals are not expensive like silver is, and you do use silver at 100%, they can also be used for decoration, and they look beautiful because the brass I use, when you polish it, absolutely looks like gold. But the difference is that gold doesn't tarnish very easily. It takes a very long time for gold to tarnish because it's up there on the atomic charts that are in your science room. So you're going to be working with silver, and you can combine it with lots of materials, even organic materials like buffalo horn and coconut and shell and a lot of the things that you think of as not very valuable. But when you put silver around them, it transforms them. You can even take a trilobite. How many of you know what a trilobite is? It's a fossil from about maybe 5,000 years ago. And it's found occasionally in rocks, in rock formations, and it can be cracked out and cleaned up, and they're absolutely beautiful. I have several of them, and I'll give it to you for free. So you don't have to worry about buying much in the class. The only investment that you're going to make in this class is that you buy a commodity of silver, about 75 grams, depending on the rate of silver per day. Like gold, silver and gold both change their price every day. So I'll go out and purchase it for you. So I'd like to collect the money all at one time, because I'm traveling on my own money, and to get where I need to go down in Yawalat in Chinatown, it costs me approximately almost 500 baht, including both ways, to my home and back again, or from my shop. I'm going to invite you to see my personal workshop. So now I've got another parrot here. Should I go and get him and bring him into the frame? I think you should see my little boy. Let me see if I can get a hold of him.
You know what you're doing, 'cause you
I'll go over here and get him.
bebop good.
Come on, say hello to everybody.
You bebop every day
Come on.
you do, every day you bebop, every day you bebop, every day you bebop,
So-
bebop girl.
So this
Bebop
is
girl.
Lucky, and he's a nervous little guy. He's never been on television before. Well, actually, I made some videos of him and put them on YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel that you can look at. I tell many stories. Some of them are not appropriate for school-age kids, but he likes to be on my shoulder. And the only problem with that is, you guessed it, he's going to shit on my shoulder. Anyhow, I'm going to teach you a lot in this class, and you're going to love it. And he just said, yes, you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy my class. And I want to tell you in the very beginning that don't worry about grades, all right? In all your classes, everybody's worried about the grade point average and getting into college. I know where you're at. School puts unreasonable levels of pressure on you with tests and evaluations and stuff like that, and I do not. I may be the one exception in the whole school. You do get credit for my class, and I hope you'll take me more than one semester and you'll come back, because you're going to get better and better at doing really skilled work. So if you choose, I hope that you're at a level in my class where you'll be able to take me again next semester. I hope you want to. I hope if I treat you kindly and good enough, you will. You're going to find that I go off a lot of times on tantrums about talking about your health. Why? Because it's important to me. Your health means everything to me. I've lived to a long life, a very long life. I expect to work and teach till I'm 100. I don't think any other teacher can say that. I am the oldest teacher in the school, and I'm older than any member of the staff of the school, even Roxy. So, Dr. Roxy, he's my very good friend. So I want to tell you, get ready for learning a trade, and see, he's kissing me now. Get ready to learn a trade like 100 years ago when you were just an apprentice studying with a master jeweler. So I'm going to teach you many techniques working with silver where you can make virtually anything you want. But here are the rules. Listen to this very carefully. I want you to make something for yourself or somebody that you love, and that would include your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, because they will have it 20 years from now, and they'll remind you, do you remember when you made this in high school? I couldn't believe you could make something like this. So you're not working for evaluations and grading, and I'm not going to give you any tests, although I don't want to tell you that because I'd love to scare you into doing a lot of good work in my class. And that's what education does. It's operating on fear. And I think it's a pity, because I think it's really, I think this way of operating for education is as old as Harry Potter. You know, 400 years ago they were doing this in school, and grades were some issue. But in here, I want you to explore, experiment, take chances, and try out ideas. And you can't do that if you're worried about your grade all the time. And your relationship with me is, I want you to know I'm your friend, so much so that you're my best friend. All of you are. I tend to love all the children that I teach, And I have to tell you, over the 9 years that I've been at this school, I've gotten, that's a decade. You know what a decade is? I've gotten a lot of love back from quite a few students who are actually my favorite friends now. They've graduated KPIS, and they still call me, and I still have dinner with them, and they come to my cafe. Yes, I have a cafe. And I have a silver workshop where I teach university students. And anybody can find me on Facebook. So you can look me up on Facebook. We have a beautiful cafe. I'm going to give you my personal phone number, and I'll tell you why. A lot of you are going to struggle at this school. Some of you may not, because you're very brilliant and your teachers love you. And others of you are on the fringe of KPIS, and you're having some problems with the school. So you need somebody you can talk to. Well, here's an offer that no teacher that I know of can make to you. You can call me any time of night, and if you just want to chat and talk, that's fine with me. I know the pressures of school. I have not forgotten it since I was your age, and I'm 82 now. So I know exactly what you're going through, and it's the same pressures of public school, and I had children there. Those kids that I taught in America are 66 years old, and many of them email me, and we chat a lot. So I have the pleasure of talking to kids. The tragic part of them, of what I'm talking about, is 12% of those kids already died. Some of them died at 64 and 57. And 40, one kid died at 39 or 40. And why? It's because of their diet. And you can make that change right now and save your life. It's very tragic for me to hear that children that I taught will never be as old as me. And why am I still here? Is because I pay a lot of attention to moderate exercise. I'm talking not aerobics and stuff like that, but just walking every day. I listen to my earbuds, and you wouldn't like my music, although I'm going to expose you a lot to my music during class, because I love classical music, and I love most of the music you've never heard before. So I'm going to make you literate in historical music, and some very old music, and some very not popular music. But in my day, it was very popular because we love classical music, and some of you do too. I know you do. So I've gotten off the subject, but what I'm going to do today is show you a bunch of rings that you can make, and hopefully you will make these rings. I've got to get over to this side a little bit, because I'm going to put the slides on that side. So I'll be on the screen, and the slides will be on the screen at the very same time. So I'm going to show you maybe 50 rings today, or 40 rings. I don't really know how many slides I've got. And just describe them to you and tell you pretty much how simple they are to make. You actually can make these rings in one class period after you know what you're doing and you have procedures. Now, I won't lie to you and tell you that everything in this class is very safe and you don't have to worry. It is very safe and you don't have to worry. But I'm going to tell you what precautions you need to have. Number one, you need to tie back your hair in this class. It's very important that you, if you have long hair, to use a barrette, these little clips, and put your hair back. You cannot be in my class with long hair leaning forward, and then that hair will go into a mechanical tool or something, or catch fire, and it will harm you. And in my almost a decade of work at KPIS, no kid has ever been injured in my class. So that says something about safety. All right? Second of all, when you're working with any machine, except the machines that already have protective plastic or glass in front of them, you'll need to wear safety glasses, which are going to be on your bench. And I will go over every tool on your bench and describe it to you, and you have to learn those tools by name, since this is a trade. This is serious business. I'm going to pretend that you're working for me, and I'm going to treat you like the quality of what you're making counts. It's not with grades. It's just for your own personal pride that you did something that is actually professional. One student told me, Mr. Hopper, do I have to do the inside of the ring? Nobody's going to see it. And my question was, I don't think you would buy it if it was unfinished inside. You wouldn't buy it commercially. Now, if you're wondering why I have a hat on, I must tell you that I had 3 cancer operations on top of my head, and I don't want to bore you with the details, but I'm always very truthful, and I have very light skin, so I was exposed at your age to UV light, so it's not a good idea to sunbathe, especially if you have very white skin or you're redheaded, because 30 years later it'll result in something called squamous cell or beta cell carcinoma. I'm going to give you a sheet. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to give you a sheet to tell you about my history, what I've done, where I come from. Before I was at KPIS, I taught at ISB, and before that I was in Elizabeth, New Jersey in America, working for 27 years. So I have 27 years in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and 27 years at ISB. I was 27 years there. I taught art and design, and in my little resume that I'm going to give you, I am the oldest teacher in this school, and that's why I did this, so you can see my history. And many teachers here don't have a lot of experience, but I've been teaching for 65 years to thousands of children, and it'll tell you all the different things that I teach. And I actually am quite expert at this. Many people have said to me, why do you want to work at an international school as a teacher when you could be working for a big Japanese corporation and get paid a lot of money overseas? Because of all your skills. I teach electronics, woodworking, jewelry design, and I work for the Muppets in America. I made a movie with them called The Dark Crystal. And some of you may remember that film. It was a British-American film. It's about 36 or 37 years old right now. And it's the first film in America that was done with animatronics and puppets. And sometimes 5 puppeteers ran one puppet. And I worked with a very famous guy named Jim Henson, who died during a production because he was a workaholic and he wouldn't stop working when he had a very bad cold. So I'm sorry about that, and it was very sad because I was a puppet fabricator and I wasn't a puppeteer. But in my own life, for 10 years, I was a puppeteer. I had my own puppet show that traveled around New Jersey to all the malls and playgrounds, and I was paid by the state of New Jersey. And there weren't many puppeteers in New Jersey, so we were pretty famous. The name of my show was Remarks Puppets. So anyhow, I'm giving you the chance to make jewelry at a very high level, and I know you're going to love it. So I'm going to get into it right now because I've taken up enough of your period today with this introduction. So my name is Jerry, and my last name is Hochberg. And if I was German, you would pronounce it, it's a German name, Hochberg. Hoch in German means high, and Berg means mountain. So my name would be Jerry High Mountain. My father was a teaching doctor, and he wanted so much for me to become a doctor. I started teaching at 20 years old, and this is my 65th year This is my 9th year, almost a decade, at KPIS. So I treat you like you're a real person, not like you're a child. And even though in the 8th grade you really are kind of a child, I struggle to find children that are quite mature and love learning. And this is learning with your hands. You're going to learn how to use your hands. And most of you, if you look at your hands, they're so smooth because you never labored with your hands. But my hands are extremely strong because I've used them all my life. I make furniture, and like I say, I have a bunch of other skills that I teach. Technical drawing, I'm going to teach you to draw. And I'm going to show you some rings. The first ring is a multi-level ring that you will make. It's made out of silver, but it has brass elements on it. And when you use brass, which is a non-ferrous metal, it's harder than silver, because you're using 100% silver in this class, and nobody does. When you buy silver at Mabukran or the Emporium, it's 92.5. That's pretty much the standard in Thailand for jewelry, because the silver is very hard at that point and resists scratching and bending. But the metal I'm giving you is 100% silver. So it's what we call, in the industry, we call this malleable. Means that it bends easy, it stretches, and you can bend it to your will and make anything you want to. And that's why I work with 100% silver. Nobody else does, all right? But I've had a lot of success with it, and you're gonna have a lot of success with it. So this band on my left here, you'll notice that it has another ring running around it, undulating back and forth, curving, and it has two edges that are also added to it, and it's not symmetrical. One edge might be thin, the other edge is, and the pattern in it was stamped into it either with hammers or punches. So that's how that ring was made. This next ring is a simple band with a simple piece of brass wire going around it. When it's polished, the brass is indistinguishable from gold. This ring is very simple. You can make it in one period. It requires about, for somebody that knows what they're doing, it requires maybe 40 minutes, but it'll take you a whole period, 90 minutes to make it. Are you making it at commercial, professional standards? All right, because I'm going to teach you to that level. And by the way, go out in out of the room and look in the showcase and take a look at all the work from students in the past. Okay, I'm very proud of it. Some things that I liked it so much, I bought it from the student with my own money to put it in the case so you can see examples of their work, because most of the students don't want to part with something they worked on for a month or so. And you may work on one ring for a month. You can work on it for that long. I've had kids that only made 2 rings the whole semester, but they were beautiful. They were 100% beautiful and commercial. All right, so the next ring, again, this one that you see on the screen right now, is made in gold, not by one of my students, but designer, and the pattern in it was stamped into it with punches, which you'll learn to do. Now the next ring over is a silver ring that has been textured with a hammer, and the back of the hammer was ground to be like a thin edge. So that's how those lines got in there, and this was done on a ring bar, which I'll show you later, and you will get it. You'll learn how to do it. The next ring over has some beads on it that stand up on a little axle that goes through. The axle is capped by 2 silver beads on both sides, and in the middle are little beach stones that somebody found in Koh Samui or at the beach someplace, in Hua Hin, and they drilled the little beads and put a wire through them, and that's a great design. It's really lovely, and it's something you can copy. I don't care if you copy a designer's work. And while I'm talking about this, I want you all to have a Pinterest account and set up boards like I have. And you're welcome to look at my Pinterest account. I have a category called design rings, rings with stones, thin rings, band-like rings, earrings, pendants, pins, bracelets. So on my website, on my boards, you can go to any category and look at the things that I like. That's what I want you to do. I want you to put all the things you like on boards in Pinterest, and then you can print them out and paste them into your sketchbook. Yes, you're going to have a sketchbook. I'm going to give it to you for free. And I'd like you to print out. And where do you print out? Well, if you don't have a printer at home, you can come to the school library with a flash drive and screenshot it and put it on the flash drive, and then print it in color or black and white, up to you, and then put it in that'll be the project that you're working on. So you need to have a plan, and you need to communicate your plan to me, and then we can discuss the sequence, the way you will make it, what you'll make first, what you'll make second, and I'll give you my tutelage, my advice on what to do in class first and second. I'm going to teach you all safety so nobody gets hurt and I'm comfortable with you. So this thing about long hair is very important, because in this class you must tie it back. And the other thing that you need in class for safety is a dust mask, which I'll give you free, so you don't have to remember one when you're coming to class. If you're going to work with machines, the machines produce abrasive dust, and you don't want to breathe that into your nose and into your esophagus. The next ring that I'm going to show you is a series of little dishes, and I'll show you how you do that to sheet metal, and they're soldered together and they're on a band, and it's beautiful to look at. And you'll use a little bit more silver for something like this, but I'll supply you with the sheet metal. You don't have to go and do all the work to make sheet metal. In fact, I will take work orders home from class, so if you want me to make wire for you, you'll tell me what gauge, and I'll show you how to gauge wire, or sheet metal, or if you want a strip of metal to make a ring, just a simple ring. I'll roll it for you at home. An automated roller, it's with a 4 horsepower motor, but it's too dangerous for me to bring into school and have the kids use it. So I'll do your rolling at home and save you a ton of labor and work. All right, the next ring that I'm going to show you is very sculptural. It's made out of strips of metal soldered together. Now, in soldering, we use a 2-gas torch, oxygen and LPG. And I'm going to teach you how to use that torch very safely. And any adult that walks in the room and sees kids working with torches, they're dog-eyed. They're dog-eyed mak-mak, because they just can't believe that you can handle that kind of responsibility. But my take on it is, you love responsibility, just like when your father buys you a car and he takes you out for a lesson on how to drive, and when you first he bought you a car. If you're that fortunate and you get to that age where you can get a license and so forth. So there's responsibility with everything that you use, and in jewelry, you're responsible to work safely. And the ring after that is a little box that's been drilled with holes around it, with wires going across that have been soldered into place. So it's 3-dimensional. It's a box, and the wires are lifted off the background, and then I'll show you how to oxidize the background black so the silver wires stand out, and it's really a very handsome ring. And then the shank is just a strip of metal. The next ring is just a strip of metal too. It's a strip that's been cut to a long, thin area, which ends with a ball on the end. In this case, I used a brass ball on the end. And it's an easy ring to make. It's super modern. I love modern jewelry. So I don't like highly decorative, the old-fashioned jewelry. I love what my mother left me. By the way, my mother lived to 102 years old. And you are too, because I'm going to advise you in this school how to keep your nutrition and what to eat to live a long life, all right? And I am convinced I'm going to make my mother's age. So, and it's how you take care of yourself, but you got to change your lifestyle quite a bit. The next ring is a band, and it's just textured, but it's a great gift to give somebody fast. You won't be going out during Christmas to department stores to buy things for people when you can make them here in this class, get credit in my class, and also bring some lovely handmade item to somebody that you really care about. So think about that. How impersonal it is when you get somebody a birthday gift and you go shopping for it. You won't have to shop anymore. You can make something that, for instance, Dr. Roxy's birthday, one of his birthdays, since I'm his best buddy and his friend, I gave him a money clip. Not because he has so much money, but I made a silver money clip. It took me about 2 days to make it, and it was so commercial looking and beautiful. He didn't even, I think he was surprised. I gave him so much silver, and I think it cost me about 3,000 baht or 2,000 baht to make. But if it was in a store, it would be about 10,000 or 12,000 baht. So you're going to make things that you can sell to somebody, and that's another story I want to talk to you about. The next one over looks like a ginkgo leaf that turns into a wire and goes around your finger. Very organic looking, very beautiful, very individual. So you can copy any of these ideas that you like. The next slide is of 2 loops that go through each other, almost like an infinity sign. Really handsome. It looks like what we call a knotted ring. And the wire is quite thick, so it's quite beautiful when you shine it up. And actually that ring is made in 2 pieces. I'll show you the secret to make that ring. The next ring is made out of rectangular pads of metal. Okay, and this would be strip stock of metal that you cut with your jewelry saw, and then shape it into almost like a little square dish. And the first dish has a second tier sitting in it, and then there's a ball soldered in the middle, and the ball could be a different kind of metal. And it's handsome. And again, it has a shank that's a wire shank and goes around your finger. And I'll show you how to take a person's ring size, and you can do it quite easily at home, and maybe your mother and your father won't suspect that you're making them a birthday present. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make these gifts. The next one is a pearl sitting nested into 2 flat pieces of metal that make the part that goes around your finger, and we call that, again, the shank of the ring. It's beautiful, and you would love to make something like this. I have pearls, and they're not real, but they look very real, and there's no way anybody can tell they're not real. The next ring involves setting a stone with little tabs, as you can see, and this is a pendant that you wear around your neck. It's very beautiful. And the next one is like 3 pieces of wire, heavy wire, that have been flattened on the ends, and it's an open ring. It doesn't close. It's a band, and it's very sculptural and very modernisque, if that's a word. It looks very modern and very beautiful and handsome, and everybody will notice it on you. Very easy to make. Very, very easy to make. Okay, and the next one is complicated. It has little thin pieces of metal going over each other that make a texture around the ring. You can do this very randomly. In fact, the more randomly you do it, the more beautiful it is. So that's another ring. It's quite complicated to solder, and I'll teach you how to do that. And the next one that I'm showing you now is made out of wire. It uses spirals, that the wire is spiraled slightly, and you're going to use your round nose pliers to do it. And I will demonstrate in class anything you want to see, and regularly demonstrate every day. When you come into class, I'll be showing you something new. Now the next ring has a small bead in it, and it could be lapis, which comes from, it's a beautiful blue and gold threaded stone that comes from Egypt, and it's thousands or hundreds and thousands of years old. Lapis is a very popular stone, and people love it. And you can buy very expensive lapis, or you can buy a whole necklace of beads and take one bead and make that ring. And that ring looks like it's made out of gold, but it's not gold. It's been plated in gold, so it's called in Thai chim tong. So that ring is actually silver, and I'm going to show you how to electroplate it in gold. Now the electroplating is very thin, but it's actual gold. And if you rub that ring a lot and it gets a lot of use touching things, the gold will come off and you have to replate it. The next ring is sculptural, and these are and let me tell you a secret about this ring. I really love it. It's only a band, but it's a sculptural band with beautiful curves in it. It was designed rectangular and flat, and then made into a ring. And that's how you make a ring like this. And you may want to just experiment with curves and cutting them with a jewelry saw. So I trust you all. I trust you'll be safe in my class, and you'll have an extraordinary time. And you'll do one of the electives that's not available in any other, on this level, in any other international school. After I turn this thing off, please put your hands up and ask me a few questions. I would like you to talk to me so I can get to know your names. You are going to wear a name badge in here for a while so that I can remember your nickname or whatever you want me to call you by. All right? Love you, and goodbye.